Hello and welcome to the Heart Hook Home Video Crochet Podcast. My name is Ashley. I am your host and I am the crochet pattern designer and blogger behind hearthookhome.com. This episode of the podcast is going to be focusing on ponchos and more ponchos and more ponchos. We've got ponchos for days. We have this gray one, which is my favorite. It is made with Brava Sport weight yarn. So it's a size 2 yarn with a large 7mm hook. I have this one that I literally just completed in the last several hours. That is a worsted weight version that I'm not completely in love with, and we'll talk about that. And then I have my pink one back here, which is the hoodless, much more chic date night version. So yeah, this poncho is going to be published on Monday, November 7th, 2022. It's going to be called the Lori Poncho because of Lori, who was in the Heart Hook Home Crochet Community group on Facebook, and she recently passed from cancer. She was a lovely crocheter. She was very, just a very good friend. You know, she was always commenting on a lot of posts in the group. She was posting her own tips or projects and finished projects, even her grandkids. I know I talked about her a little bit in the last podcast, but this is dedicated to her, and it will be a free pattern that is released on Monday. So I've gone ahead and posted all of the materials, all of everything you need to know for the Lori Poncho, the gauge, the hook sizes, different yarns that you can use, etc. I am going to add to that post the actual pattern. So right now, this weekend, if it's before November 7th and you want to go, make sure that you've got your yarn ready, make sure that you've got your hook size ready that you need, make sure that you've got all the gauge and information, whether you want a hood, whether you don't want a hood, whether you want the fringe or you don't want the fringe. So yeah, I have just completed this worsted weight version, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what I don't like about it, what I do like about it. And yeah, I've got the hood ready to attach, but I wanted to show you it without the hood, right? And then we're just going to talk about all these different options. Yeah, I have a couple other things to share with you, but for the most part, it's Poncho City. So first things first, this Lori Poncho, this one is the first one that I crocheted. This is the very first prototype version, which usually I do not like my first draft. Usually that's the one where I figure out what I don't like about it, and I can change that so that on the subsequent versions, I know, okay, well, this didn't work for that one, so let's change this, or let's change how we do these decreases or anything like that. That's actually my favorite one. So I'm not gonna lie, I have worn this almost daily for the last month since I completed it, or 3 weeks or so. This pink version, I've only worn a couple of times. Number one, because it's a little bit more delicate. I feel like it's more of a date night, more of a dress up without the hood. I do have the pictures on the blog, and of course I shared them with you last week as well, and I wore that most of the podcast a couple weeks ago. So, well, I had a lot of people asking if they could use worsted weight yarn for this poncho, and my answer is a cautious yes. Okay, so I did wash this one. I just pulled it out of the dryer a couple of hours ago. I am not in love with it, but I will wear it, okay? So one thing that I've noticed, especially with this gray one here, the more I have worn this and washed it, the more I fall in love with it. And one thing that I know that I talked about last time as well, not to repeat myself, but the fringe. The fringe is a huge factor for me. I really like the way that the fringe adds to the overall design. I have not added the fringe yet to this one because I wanted to show you what it looks like before adding. I personally think that this poncho does need the fringe, whether you do it as a twisted fringe or as a traditional fringe like I have done on all of my versions, or I will add it to this one as well. But I wanted to show you the difference, right, before and after I add it. So when I'm talking about washing my ponchos, I really like to put them in the washer with something. I contemplated putting my shoes in there, like to wash my tennis shoes, because not tennis shoes, my Hey Dudes, because I really wanted this to get beat up. You know what I mean? It makes the stitches like get nice and settled. This, I can tell you, this feel of this one is absolutely phenomenal. And so you can even see the drape on it, right? I have washed this one probably 8 times. I'm not even kidding. I think I told you I got tomato sauce all over it a couple weeks ago. But yeah, this one is absolute perfection. If I was going to make another one, I would absolutely use Brava Sport Weight yarn or an acrylic sport weight yarn. The acrylic gives it such a nice feel. It's good for warmth, especially if you're using it as a warm weather or to keep warm, a cold weather poncho. Especially with the hood, it just feels fabulous. My worsted weight version, I kept the gauge the same. I wanted to make sure that the pattern didn't alter too much. In hindsight, I wish I would have gone up a hook size because it's just a little bit too stiff. Like it's not as drapey as the other two. I do feel like after I wash it several times, maybe put some tennis balls in the dryer, and I'm not kidding. Even with the fringe on there, I've washed this one. I put the fringe on before I washed it the first time. Sometimes with fringe, when you first put it on, it's kind of kinky because of the way it's been in the skein. So I do like to wash it before I do any of my pictures or anything else to make the fringe just lay nicer. The pink one I have not washed yet because it's Kobu yarn, and it kind of terrifies me just a little bit because of the way that the Kobu fibers, it's a bamboo, what is it? I'm not sure, it's over there, but it's just not the same as acrylic, right, when you wash it. So personally, I like with my acrylic yarns, I really like to put them in the washer, beat them up, wash them with towels maybe, dry them with tennis balls, or put something bulky in there that's really gonna beat it up, and soften it up a lot. So this one, I just washed it with a regular load of laundry. I put my boys' hamper in there, which let's be honest, can be a beat up in itself, but I didn't put any tennis balls or anything in there. I am going to add the hood to this after I get some pictures taken. I am going to add the fringe to it, and I am going to wash it again probably several times so that I can really feel how it softens up and really it's just not as soft. And it is partially because it is a worsted weight yarn. The stitches are a lot more dense, which means that this is going to be a much warmer poncho, right? So I would wear this if it was really cold outside and we were going to a football game and watching, because even the school colors for my boys at the high school, it's a little bit darker green than this, but it would be a good enough green to wear to like football games and things when it's really cold outside. But yeah, I just, worsted is not my favorite. So if I were to make another worsted weight version, I would go up a hook size so that the drape would be a little bit nicer off the bat instead of having to beat it up so many times in the washer and dryer. And by going up a hook size, the overall poncho is going to come out larger. So that is something to consider, but honestly, this really doesn't feel like it's huge, you can see, right? It doesn't feel like it's ginormous. So if I did go up a hook size, I think that would work fine. I think that it would, everything would turn out okay. But it is going to be a little bit larger than this. So the one size might come out closer to the plus size. It's fine. It's a poncho, like it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be oversized and comfortable. Someone was asking if they could seam up the sides here, because all we have attached here is the cuffs. And I did that because I mean, you can't see it. If you're just standing here, you can't see. It's not like we're showing off any of our, bits or anything, but you definitely need to wear something underneath it. I'm just wearing a tank top right now because seriously, this worsted weight version is warm. And I'm gonna have to put my hair up in my clippy that I brought out for that specific reason because I knew it was gonna be too warm. But someone was asking in the Heart Hook Home Crochet community on Facebook if you could seam up this at all. Absolutely. And you can sew this together for as much as you want, right? Just so that you have the opening from here to here instead of the whole way to the cuff. You can do that if you want to, perfectly fine. I'm not, because I want to have a little bit of that flowiness factor, and it shouldn't take away too much from that, but yeah, that's completely optional if you want to sew up a little bit more of your sides or more of the sides instead of just the cuff, right? But yeah, even when you're standing here, let's hold this out. So here, right, you can see that it is shaped. It's not a perfect curve, but I didn't want it to be a perfect curve. And we do have the flat front in the front that goes for the entire width of the body. So that is nice. Sometimes I hate ponchos that point directly to your crotch, like, maybe I don't want that today, right? But when I'm standing here and I just, move around like this, I don't feel like it's showing off any bits, that I don't want shown. So yeah, I do feel like I am going to wash this and really beat it up and get some good, a better drape on it. So the hood is crocheted separately. I wanted to show this to you. This is a different way than I've done any hood in the past. Again, this is the worsted weight yarn. This is the avocado in Brava worsted. I've never done the hood separately like this and then attached it. And I've also never done the hood in this way. So I started at the back and come out to the front. And it's a little bit oversized, but honestly, it feels really good on. I made it to where, look at that. I made it to where the bottom, see, and I haven't washed this one. See how stiff this is? Like it's basically standing up on its own, right? Like look at that, like it's so stiff. And so it really needs to be washed and beat up too. But I made it to where the number of rows on the hood, so that if you do a single crochet edging across the bottom of the hood, there are exactly that many stitches on the neck opening. So crochet, single crochet across the bottom of the hood. We do a single crochet around the neck hole, and then you literally just sew it on using the mattress stitch, which I do have a tutorial for, but you just sew it on stitch for stitch. That many stitches to that many stitches. So you can't really screw it up. If you don't want the hood, don't make it, don't add it, it's fine. If you make it and you decide, I really want a hood, then make the hood, and it's completely optional, completely after the fact, like an afterthought hood, right? Which I do love it. I think it looks super cute. It does meet in the middle. So again, this is very stiff and it needs to soften up quite a bit. If I had gone up the hook size to make this worsted version, I do think that it would just be a better overall. So I did find gauge with the worsted weight yarn, which means that I had to use my H. This is my new H hook, isn't it beautiful? I'll show you here. That's what I was gonna show you, is a couple of my new hooks. This is my H 5mm hook that I got from Nelson Wood recently, like a couple weeks ago, and I made this entire green poncho with it. So this is a 5mm with worsted weight yarn, and that's what I had to use in order to meet the gauge that I needed with the Brava Sport Weight, or the Kobu, the size 3, with a 7mm hook. So this is a 5mm hook with worsted weight yarn. That's a 7mm hook with the size 2 yarn. So that's a big difference as far as the drape factor goes, you know? So I was able to meet gauge with the H hook, but I wish I would have used the I or even a J. But then we run into the poncho being, the larger the hook size you go, the poncho is going to be that much larger. So, I mean, in most cases, it's not going to be an issue, but yeah, isn't that cute? I can't wait to add the hood to it. I am going to take pictures of this one before I add the hood, and then I'm going to take pictures of it before I add the fringe, because yeah, you might not want fringe, and that's okay. Fringe is not for everyone. You could do the twisted fringe, which is super cute. I do have a video tutorial for that as well. It just takes a little bit more effort and a little bit more work, which, yeah, I mean, let's be honest. Or you could put the fringe on there and then wear it and decide, you know what, I really want this to be twisted, and then all you gotta do is twist it. It's easy peasy, right? I also think I've been seeing a lot lately that there's patterns for hoods. And I even had my girlfriend that doesn't crochet, she sent me this TikTok of the hooded thing, you know, it's just a hood that you can wear with any jacket or any coat or anything, or by itself, I guess, if you really wanted to. But absolutely love that. And I had already made this detached hood that is in itself, right? So I'm like, maybe I should do my own little hood thing, because I have plenty of jackets or something else that I could just throw a hood on with it and just go. So that's something that I've been thinking about too, maybe repurposing this hood pattern to work in some capacity like that, right? So I'm gonna take this off now because I'm really hot, but I do like the way that this is coming out. I think I'm gonna, yeah, once I get this softened up a little bit more, I'm really gonna love it. I only have, oh, I don't know where it went, but I only have almost exactly 100 yards of this avocado colorway, and I actually, so I had 10 skeins of it, which is almost 2,200 yards, and I thought, okay, that's enough. I forgot that with worsted weight yarn, you're gonna need more of it, right? So the poncho body here itself took the full 9 skeins, so that was about 2,000 yards, which is, this one only took 1,750. So that's a huge increase, right? So not only are we using less yarn for the sport weight, this one is just so warm, holy moly. Like I need to take it off. Let's take this off. But The fringe should take about 100 yards or so. So I did order more of this avocado yarn. Plus I have a really good idea for a romper. I don't know if I've told you about this or not, but I have a romper idea that I'm going to be working on in the spring, because next year, you know, I'm really going to slow down on cranking out so many patterns. I'm still going to put some out, and I'm going to be focusing next year more on, as I said in the past, more tutorials, more videos, updating old things, adding video tutorials for older patterns, for patterns that I have a lot of questions about, and etc. So hey, watch this video, that will help, or even, you know, just crochet along with me, it's fun. But one of the things I'm really looking forward to is slowing down the pace on my paid patterns next year and wearables, etc. But I have this, oh my gosh, this romper is going to be amazing. It's going to be a full body suit, or full body. It's going to have shorts and with the option of going all the way down if you want. I'm going to make it a super holey stitch on the legs so that you've got the shorts on and then you've got the full length that you could wear to a wedding if you wanted to do it in a nice fun color, or I guess even black, I guess, if you're going to a wedding. But yeah, it's going to be amazing, right? So I'm already thinking about all of these lovely things. But so I ordered all of this yarn, enough to make that romper, and I ordered 4 more skeins of this avocado colorway because it's my favorite, and you know it is. I've made so many things with this yarn. But back in the day, when I posted the Lattice Love Beanie, which has been one of my most popular full video tutorials on YouTube that I've done, I made a worsted weight version of that because apparently that's something that I really like to do. So I actually frogged that beanie this morning because I needed it to finish that hood, and I think I have like 90 yards. I just waited, and I think I have like 90 yards that I can use towards the fringe. So I'm like really crossing my fingers that I have enough of it to put the fringe on before the yarn is delivered. And it's technically, I tracked it this morning, and it's supposed to be here on Monday. So I'm either praying for a miracle, either that my fringe yarn is enough to get me through, or that my yarn will arrive early because I'm publishing this pattern on Monday, right? So yeah. So that is about it. Key takeaways, long story short, definitely stick with a size 2 or size 3 acrylic yarn. I think that is going to be your best bet for a beautiful, drapey, comfortable, fashionable poncho. The worsted weight, it's okay, and I've already washed it, but you can see how it just doesn't hang as nice. It's just not quite as nice. So if you do want to use your worsted weight, it's perfectly fine, and you're going to have a beautiful poncho. It's going to be great. Honestly, this might be great for just lounging around the house. Like today, it's super rainy. It's been thunderstorming all day. It's just kind of blah, and I'm making chili for dinner. Like it's one of those, like, you just want to cuddle up on the couch with a book and crochet or whatever and just, you know, zone out, right? Which I will be doing as soon as I'm done with this podcast. But yeah, this would be great for that purpose. I would, if you are using a worsted weight yarn from your stash, which is perfectly fine, I would find the gauge. So for me, I needed an H hook and then go up 1 hook size from that. The poncho will come out a little bit larger, but that's perfectly fine. I mean, it's a poncho. It's supposed to be, you know, flowy and a bit bigger than you need, right? That's the whole point. So yeah, I'm going to be adding the fringe to this after I get some pictures taken, but yeah, it's just not my favorite. It's my favorite color, and I just love it, but it's just not my favorite poncho. So for science, I did it for science. I did it for you, right? So, okay, I want to share with you before we sign off, I do have these brand new hooks. So I told y'all that I got a new boyfriend, right? Not a new boyfriend. We've been dating almost a year now, which is pretty mind-blowing to me, but he's pretty amazing. And for my birthday, he got me a gift certificate to Nelson Wood. So Nelson Wood makes these crochet hooks, custom made, right? So what you do is I went on his website and I picked out, you get to pick whatever resin you want. So I picked out this specific flower because I really liked the way that yellow lays right at the bulb, right? And then it just looks like a block, like a rectangular block of resin with dried flowers in it. And then you tell him what kind of wood you want him to use on the ends, or you could send him in, I was gonna send him in some Clover soft touch hooks because Clover soft touch are my favorite hooks, and that's what I use for most things. But you can send in the metal hook, and he will use that if you don't want the wood. I did upgrade my wood choice, and I wanted to do that because of the way these looked, but look at how gorgeous that is. Isn't that absolutely stunning? I absolutely love it. It's so pretty. So this is my H hook. That's what I used to make this. I did post a couple pictures of it on a Facebook page, and everybody went crazy, so I wanted to share them with you here too. So this one is my G hook. So this is a 4mm, and I picked out a different flower for that. You can see how gorgeous that is. Isn't that absolutely lovely? So this is my 4mm hook. I just love that red, one of my favorite colors. And then this one is the purple, and he even had purple wood that you can match with it. And my sister is in love with purple, and I thought of her when I ordered this one. Absolutely gorgeous. She even has purple hair. I don't know if you've seen that or not, but yeah, isn't that beautiful? Absolutely lovely. So I'm going to be using these in a lot of my video tutorials just because they're so pretty to look at, you know, and they're just very nice. I have noticed, so you can see that these are quite bulky compared to the Clover Soft Touch, which I don't have handy with me, or I would show you the comparison, but these are a lot bigger. What I've noticed though is that the way, after making this entire poncho and that entire hood with that H hook, what I've noticed is that if I hold it a little bit higher than I would normally, it's really nice on my wrist. So, and they're not too heavy, because that is another thing that I worry about, especially even with Furls hooks, you know, the Furls Odyssey, they can get kind of heavy. And sometimes on my wrist, it's like, man, just wielding that hook, you know, it's kind of like it's a workout almost. Or my wrist, if I'm really crocheting, like this poncho, I think I finished it maybe, I don't know, it was less than a week. It was like 5 days or something. And there were a couple days I didn't work on it at all. But if I were to sit down and crochet, and I really had a deadline in 2 days or something, I could get this poncho done in that time, but my wrist would probably be pretty sore for a few days. But I've noticed that with the way that I hold this hook, it isn't as sore as I would normally expect it to be. So anyway, I am going to be using these in tutorials and things, and I only have 3 sizes. So I have the G, the H, and the I, which I felt like those are pretty much the crochet hook sizes that I use the most. Like I kind of want a 6mm, a J as well, and I kind of want to go a little bit smaller as well, but they are pretty pricey. These are the most expensive crochet hooks I have ever owned in my life, but I do love them, and they would make an excellent Christmas gift, like if you were to hint very overtly at your loved ones that you want one of these Nelson Wood hooks. I'll put the link in the description of the video as well. But yeah, they're definitely an investment and definitely beautiful. And I love the fact that you pick out your own resin. All of those 3, I picked out my own exact resin that I wanted, and I picked out the exact wood that I wanted, and I picked out the exact everything. Like everything on that is made exactly to my specifications, which I think is really cool. It just makes me feel like, you know, these are mine. Like I designed these are mine. These are my colors. These are my, you know, just everything that I wanted. So yeah, so okay, come back on Monday to hearthookhome.com, and the Lowry poncho will be published. There will be an option to buy the PDF as well, of course. Of course, you don't have to, because this will be a free pattern on the blog that you can access and make and show me your makes. I cannot wait to see all of these ponchos. Some of my testers have already started sharing in the Heart Hook Home Crochet community on Facebook, and they're just gorgeous. Like Leanne shared her black one. She made a black in the plus size, and it is absolutely she's like, I don't mind working with black. And I'm like, oh, go you, because that's not my favorite thing to do. So yeah, so all right guys, well, I'm going to sign off. See you in 2 weeks for another update of what's going on in Heart Hook Home land, and I'm gonna have a lot for you. I mean, I hope I do, because I've got a lot of small projects that I'm trying to finish up right now, and I'm very excited to get just kind of clean off my to-do list, you know what I mean? So all right, you guys have a lovely weekend, and check back on Monday, and I will see you soon for the next podcast. Thanks for watching.